max out your TSP, set it aside for 20 years, put it in the right fund, and when you get out, you're going to be set for life. That's what they tell you. That is the story of the TSP. And I'm not here to talk bad about the TSP or say that it's a scam or anything along those lines. I'm just going to explain to you why it should only be one of your investment vehicles and one of the things that you utilize to become genuinely wealthy. The TSP is a great vehicle, but there's just certain things that you don't get told as a military member. So let's talk about it. What is the TSP lie that every veteran believes, and why maxing out your TSP is only the floor, not the ceiling? So the first thing that you've been told is max your TSP and you will retire comfortably. That is a lie. Remember, the majority of people that are going to be talking to you while you're in the military and giving you these financial pieces of advice are people that have never experienced the real world. Your E7 was told by his E7 when he was an E3, the same thing that you're being told as an E3 by your E7, and so on and so forth. A lot of these guys have never experienced the real world. They joined when they were 18. They never even had a job before joining. They don't understand money. They don't come from a family that understands money. And so most of them are just the blind leading the blind, regurgitating the same bullshit that they heard before and then getting out. And once they're out, they're not going back. They're not going back to the military to be, guys, I made a mistake. That you need to do things different. No, it's already too late. And most people will try to save face before everything else, which is why I'm here to tell you how to do it. So just before we get started, guys, who am I and why should you listen to me? My name is David Plazas. I'm the owner of Six Figure Vet, an online community that teaches military members about investing and about finances. In this community, I've helped hundreds of members make over $10,000 in a single month and build their portfolios to over six figures. That's what I do, and that's kind of why I'm here to give you a little bit of perspective that will just make you a better investor and more financially prepared. So why is the TSP actually a great account? Can't be hating on the TSP, man. It has certain advantages that you're not going to find anywhere. The first thing is that it has really low fees. In any type of investment portfolio, retirement account, brokerage, you're going to have some type of fees. Robinhood, I think, has some of the lowest fees when it comes to just stock trading. But when it comes to retirement accounts, fees are the difference. 1% difference in your fees on an account right now after 20 years could be thousands, tens of thousands, and even if you invest aggressively enough, hundreds of thousands of dollars of difference because of your fees. And when you have low fees, you get to keep more money. The other thing is the actual free money. The military will match up to 5%, which means that's just automatic free money, which you got to think about it, right? You put in $100,000, they're matching up to 5% of that. That's free $5,000. Obviously, you can't invest $100,000 in a single year because of the limits, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. But even just that, right? Just understanding that off the rip, without the market doing anything, the military is just going to give you money to match you on your retirement. That's phenomenal. And the other thing is the tax edge, right? So real quick, IRAs, 401ks, Roth IRAs, individual retirement accounts, they are not tax free. There's a big difference between tax deferred, tax advantageous, and then tax free. When we talk about IRAs, you have certain advantages. You get taxed at a certain level, and it also depends a lot on the amount of time that you've had it in there. So there are advantages. The Roth IRA basically means you pay taxes up front. Regular IRA, you get to defer the taxes up until you go ahead and start liquidating, right? You start taking out the money, start paying taxes. You will always pay taxes. A lot of people think that, your IRA, your TSP, your 401k is tax-free. Not at all. You're still going to pay taxes, just you'll have some type of advantages. All right, so 20 years of maxing your TSP and what you will actually get. So you start maxing it out year one, $145,000. Right. So this is assuming that you've done Okay, so this isn't, I think this is by the fives. This isn't by the, yeah, it's 20 years. So it's 5 years in each block. After 5 years, you'll have 145,000, then 365, 705, and then lastly, $1.2 million, which does sound like a lot until you do the rest of the math. Right, with a 4% withdrawal rate, you're only going to make about $48,000 a year from that 1.2 million. After 30 years of inflation, that's middle class money. It's even lower than middle class money, guys. If you're getting paid out, right, you have 1.2 million, and then you get to pull out 4% a year so that you don't break into your principal. You're going to be making about like, what would that be? That'd be like $4,000 a month, $3,500 a month, which right now may sound, it's still trash. I mean, really, if you think about it, most of you guys, like if you live in California, if you live in New York, that's not a good amount of money at all. You know, $50,000, you're struggling. Now add 30 years of inflation to that, right? So just think back 30 years. Right? What was the difference between how much money went for 30 years ago when we were in the 90s versus now, right? Rent in the 90s was $500. Rent in the 2020s is $2,500, right? That's like 5x. So imagine just that being the case. It's not a lot of money. It is not a lot of money. It's a good amount of money to have just coming in when you're not thinking about it, right? That's awesome, right? You're retired. You have your let's say it still exists. You have your Social Security. You have your pension from your job. You have your TSP. You also have your investment account, and you have some properties that are paying you. Phenomenal, right? Brings you to around like $15,000, $12,000 a month. 30 years from now, it'll probably be as if you were making about $60,000, $50,000 right now. So in reality, you got to think about that, guys. $1.2 million sounds like a lot until you think about inflation and how that affects everybody long term. All right, so the 3 reasons why TSP alone won't get you to where you want to get financially. The first thing is the cap. So remember how we were talking about earlier about how you can't max out to like 145 or anything like that? You can only invest $23,500 a year, which is a ceiling. And a real wealth builder won't have ceilings on the compounding. They won't limit you on how much you can make. The next thing is the menu, right? So a lot of you guys know there are only like 5 funds, the C fund, the G fund, the S fund, whatever it is. And you can't tilt towards growth assets, individual stocks, or anything outside the TSP's universe. This is a big deal because technically you're only going to be able to invest in the S&P 500 or some type of international index fund. While this is good, while you won't lose money, while more than likely you're going to appreciate, it's going to limit the amount of money that you can grow with. When you have your own investment account, when you have your own investments, you can invest all of your retirement into a single stock or a few single stocks that you know for a fact will give you a bigger and better return than if you were to depend specifically on that TSP. Okay. So that's one of the big things. You're just not limited on the funds that you can use and on where you can invest your money. Okay. And then lastly, it's the trap. If you separate before retirement and then the matching ladder is gone. Most service members do exactly that. So if you do get into TSP and you invest heavily and then you get out, you're now no longer going to get that benefit that you were getting from the military, which is the matching. That's a big deal because that's like one of the things that makes this such a good opportunity. The fact that you do get the matching. Once you get out, you're no longer getting matched. All right. So what comes after the max? Stack these on top of your TSP in this specific order. Right. So the first thing you want to do is you want to build a foundation, which is on your TSP, your own TSP. Okay. Max it out. You know, if you have the ability to do it, max it out or put a good, healthy amount, especially if you're in. While you're in, well, actually, I don't even think you can invest out when you're out unless you get a government job. So while you have a government job, utilize the shit out of it. You're getting a free match on it. You're making free money on it. Go ahead and do that. Next, you want to go ahead and build your own Roth IRA. You want to build your own investment retirement account, individual retirement account, because there you get tax-free growth and the cap is a lot higher, right? You can put up to $7,000 in there. You still get capped, and it goes back to the same thing of like being tax advantageous. They can't just let you put in as much as you want, because then you'll max that out and they won't get as much taxes as they want to get out of you, which is what they want. That's what they want. They just want, they want, Uncle Sam wants his money. He wants to make sure that if you're making money, that he's making money as well. And then lastly is a taxable brokerage, right? So your own personal investments, somewhere where you can have the liquidity, sell, buy, and do your own things so that you can get maximum return. And the awesome thing about that is that there's no caps, no rules, and real flexibility. If you don't know, I always tell people this, right? If you don't know shit about investing, if you don't know shit about stocks, and you don't care to, Roth IRA, TSP, do your thing. You put in the S&P 500, let that bitch rock. U.S. government fucking economy is going to go up always and forever. Well, at least while we're alive. And you know you're going to be set there. So just go ahead, TSP, Roth IRA. Now, if you want to get the most bang for your buck, if you want to take the time to understand stocks, to understand investing, to understand how those things work, that's where you go into your taxable brokerage, and that's where you will make ridiculous, disgusting amounts of money, because this is where you can really rock. This is where you can put, X amount of money on Amazon, X amount of money on Google, ride oil companies, internet companies, AI companies. That's what you do in your own taxable brokerage. And it's something that if you genuinely want to get to the top 1%, you have to figure it out. It's one of the things that I had to figure out. And once I did, everything changed. All right, so coming to the end here, that separates the wealthy veterans from the comfortable ones. The comfortable ones treat the TSP as the plan. They hit the max, stop thinking, hope it's enough. Kind of mentally lazy. And then the real wealthy, they treat the TSP as a tool. They max it out, they use it to the best of to their ability, and then they keep building on their own stack. They build the whole thing. They build an entire system where they're getting the most out of every vehicle so that they can just be in a better position. Now, if you want to learn about how investing works, how you can use other vehicles outside of the TSP, outside of an individual retirement account, I'm going to leave a link below for you guys. I have two communities. I have a free community that you can get complete access to right now today. Jump on, ask me questions, connect with other veterans and active duty members. And then I have a paid community for people that really want to take the investment thing seriously. They really want to attack, learn, and figure out, master the stock market, investing in stocks, and that next level outside of TSP and your IRA. Appreciate you guys watching to the end of this. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure to hit the like button if you want to continue learning about this. And if you have any individual questions or things that you want me to work on, videos that you want me to record, let them know below. I am always happy to help any type of active duty and veteran that is out there and that is willing to work towards their goals. Peace.